Welcome back, and now, as promised, we're going to discuss European efforts to bolster its defense. Following the Trump administration's announcement that it freezes all military aid and suspends intelligence sharing with Ukraine, decisions that could have dire consequences for Ukraine war efforts, the EU has stepped up to the defense plate, or at least is trying to do so. At the EU summit this past week, several important decisions were made. And to discuss them, I have Martin Sklenar, former Slovakian Defense Minister, joining me right now. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good morning. Great to be here.
So let me start with the Rearm Europe, because it was hailed as a very significant plan for the EU. What are some of the key provisions? What changes will we see?
Well, the most important fact is that actually the European Commission came up with this initiative, which we can see as part of the effort to make sure that the inputs that Europe needs for developing its defense are in place, and that the member states have the possibility to spend more money, because this is about what needs to be done. So Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, she explained that there are several avenues from which European Union member states will be able to get the money. First and foremost, they are loosening the regulations regarding debt, and defense spending will not be regarded as part of the sovereign debt of member states, which should enable member states to borrow more money for defense capability development. The Commission is also starting a new tool, a new program, a new fund with 150 billion of euros in it, that should be also available for countries to get the money for developing capabilities. They will mobilize private capital in banks to do exactly the same. And as Ursula von der Leyen has laid out, there's also a list of capabilities that the European Union would want to invest into together. First and foremost, air and missile defense, but also drones, cyber defense, and other capabilities, as she has mentioned.
Right, and could you please clarify, because of course we know that there will be more money, but what about procurement? Is there enough ammunition and arms to actually buy?
Yes, those are the next steps. This is about the inputs of what is necessary for European defense investment, and now it will be important to see also that Europe has also a plan on the output side. First and foremost, with the industry, which needs to be really ready and scaling up to a level that is necessary to spend all the money effectively. We will see how that will go. We see that industry always waits for concrete contracts that need to be signed in order to allow them to boost the capabilities or the capacities and to create new production lines, and see what is the time period in which they are expected to produce. This will be critical, and in that sense, we will need to see which of the countries will take over responsibilities for procuring specific capabilities, such as air defense, in the joint procurement of the frameworks that the European Union is setting up.
Well, so the shift in the American policy came as a surprise to many, but some argue that this increased self-reliance could actually be very beneficial for the EU and even for its economy. So do you agree with that statement?
Yes, in short, the investments that go into defense industry obviously have a strong effect on the economy as such. This is a vast amount of money. What Ursula von der Leyen describes as 800 billion euros. You can imagine. I mean, currently the EU 27 spends for defense spending yearly around 350 billion euros. So this is several yearly budgets of all European member states that would go into modernization, into investments, into capacity development. That certainly will bring a lot of economic output, economic momentum. It will create new jobs in the industry, and hopefully will also bring some of the technological innovation that Europe needs not only in defense industry, but also others.
Right, and I also wanted to discuss what French President Emmanuel Macron said about France's nuclear deterrence, that it could be extended to cover other European nations. How significant is that proposal?
This is critical. The discussion about nuclear must be part of the European defense discussion if Europe really wants to create not only a strong defense, but also a deterrent force that is the basis for that has been the basis for peaceful living in Europe for the past more than 7 decades. This has been the case previously through NATO and the nuclear sharing arrangement that NATO has. Now, with the very uncertain situation about U.S. role in Europe, making sure that we have a discussion about France's possibilities to basically do a very similar nuclear sharing arrangement with European countries as part of the European Union. This is very important, not only for creating a whole package of deterrent forces, but also as a statement towards Russia that who now needs to think about Europe in a much different sense.
Right. So, of course, Donald Trump is quite unpredictable, and the latest news are that he's planning to withdraw American troops from Germany, to relocate them potentially to Hungary. I was wondering, what about Slovakia? What is Slovakia's role in all of this? Because we know that, Hungary and the U.S. have these close ties, but then Robert Fico is also, right, a part of this, well, I wouldn't say coalition, but at least, sort of, he's also fond of the current
Yes.
American administration. Yeah.
Yes, and Slovakia's position currently, I have to say, is not unpredictable, but it's very specific and very unique, because the rhetoric that we hear from Robert Fico is often on the side of statements that we are used from Viktor Orbán as the Prime Minister of Hungary, or even farther east. Some of the rhetoric has been very close to the Russian propaganda from the Slovak government currently. But on the other side, Robert Fico did not block the conclusions of the European Council regarding Ukraine and support to Ukraine, which shows that he's playing a very two-sided game towards Brussels and his own constituency back in Slovakia. We will see how this will be playing out. It's certainly something that is very politically driven, certainly back home, and financially driven in Brussels.
Absolutely. Let me just go back to the American support for Ukraine. What conditions would need to be met for this support to be brought back? Do you think that it's possible? And does it have anything to do with the minerals deal, perhaps?
In my personal opinion, it has very much to do exactly with the minerals deal. We have seen that once the minerals deal was put on the table in Kiev, and Trump's representative came to the Ukrainian capital to discuss it, and Ukraine decided not to follow through with the first draft of that agreement. Right after that rejection of the deal, we have seen rhetoric of President Trump being stepped up towards President Zelensky, calling him, a dictator, and questioning his legitimacy in strong terms. Then we have seen the event in the Oval Office, which has certainly been a way for the U.S. administration to put more pressure on President Zelensky. What I believe is that they did not expect such a strong comeback or pushback from President Zelensky in that situation, which, as he's done it, then spiraled into the global incident that we have seen. But I expect that once the situation calms down, also regarding this, the negotiations on the mineral deal will continue and will hopefully come to a better outcome. Then the rhetoric can turn around and the situation can change very quickly. We have seen President Trump turn around in other contexts by 180 degrees very, very quickly. Right,
even denying that he called Zelensky a dictator prior, right? So, knowing this, what is the future of the U.S.-EU relations?
That is currently the focus of the discussion, obviously, and with the looming withdrawal of U.S. military force, I think Europe has come to a situation where finally this has gained the focus and the attention that it really requires. The discussion about European doing more as part of the NATO balance in the transatlantic burden sharing has been going on for more than 15 years. I mean, this is nothing new, but always the approach from Europe was to do the minimum to keep the US engaged. Now that has to change and turn around, and basically Europe has to plan and think on the premise that the US will withdraw, even if US has not made the decision and might never do it. But the change of thinking will be the motivation to do decisions that will actually reflect the real needs Europe requires in defense and security. And paradoxically, the more Europe does on Europe's defense and security, the more it will be an argument for the US to stay in Europe militarily engaged and not consider any withdrawals.
However, the Kremlin has called EU's recent efforts as increasing a potential threat, basically, and even said that Macron is warmongering. Shall we be concerned? And a very brief answer, because we have to wrap up.
Well, this is a typical reaction from the Russian Federation, but everything that the EU does in terms of defense and security is a reaction to whatever Russia has chosen to do 3 years or 14 years ago, or back in 2008. So it's Russia who's driving the escalation. Europe and NATO on the other side are reactive organizations that are thinking about how to adjust to the changing security environment. This is not Europe escalating the situation. Even the discussion on nuclear sharing arrangement with the French among European allies is something that has been that is a consequence of Russia's action and needs to be regarded as such.
Martin Sklenar, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more.